Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we were taking a really close look at a huge strategic move by Pi Network.
A monumental one, really.
Yeah, it's about how they're integrating capital, community, and some really cutting-edge development into one of the most accessible spaces out there, Web3 gaming.
Right.
So our mission today is to dissect this whole thing, specifically the partnership with CiDi Games, and really understand what it tells us about Pi's ambition.
Their ambition to go from just a massive social community to a functioning digital economy.
Exactly.
And that's absolutely right. I mean, when you look at the source material we've got, the main story isn't just a collaboration. It's much deeper.
It's strategic investment.
It's a strategic investment channeled through Pi Network Ventures, or PNV as they call it. This isn't the platform just, hoping developers will show up.
Right.
This is the platform actively putting substantial capital on the table to guarantee high-quality utility and to do it at scale.
Yeah.
So we're analyzing how this calculated move with a proven gaming company really speeds up their innovation.
And crucially, expands the real-world utility for the tens of millions of pioneers in that community.
That's the key.
Okay, so let's unpack this. It's a high-stakes venture. The big headline confirms it. Pi Network has partnered with CiDi Games,
A dedicated gaming platform.
They're developing titles specifically integrated with the Pi ecosystem. The goal here, it sounds pretty audacious.
Well, it is. They want to serve what they're calling the tens of millions of Pioneer Games players who are already sort of engaging with this idea.
And the thing that makes this different, the real kicker, is that it's cemented by a direct investment from Pi Network Ventures.
Yes, that's the crucial differentiator.
It's not just marketing support. This is Pi deploying serious financial and institutional resources behind a very specific vision for Web3 adoption.
It's the highest possible signal of institutional confidence you can give to a specific vertical. For any blockchain ecosystem, that jump from being a speculative asset to a functional medium of exchange, it all hinges on utility.
And utility needs that capital commitment.
It does. When an investment arm like PNV gets involved, it's a sign that the project is mature enough to move beyond, just bootstrapping itself internally.
It elevates the whole thing.
It elevates the collaboration way beyond a simple third-party agreement. We're looking at a binding commitment, and it's designed to achieve two things. Scale, and we mean massive user adoption and sustainability in Web3 gaming. That's a core part of PNV's mandate.
So it de-risks it for both sides.
Completely. It assures CiDi Games they have a massive user base ready to go, and it assures the Pi community that they're getting professional, high-quality application development.
That distinction moving from just hoping for utility to actively funding and securing it, that feels paramount. It really shifts the perception of Pi from a grassroots project to a major platform builder.
That's a big shift.
So let's start with the core purpose. Why CiDi? Why now?
Okay, yeah. If we start there, the sources are pretty clear. The primary goal is this compelling two-part objective, and the two parts work in perfect harmony.
And what are those two objectives? How do they relate?
Well, the first goal is absolutely foundational. Expand the real-world use of the Pi platform. They need tangible, transactional utility for the currency that goes beyond, simple person-to-person transfers.
Utility is the bedrock of value.
It's a bedrock of long-term value. The second goal is to further expand and support gaming within the ecosystem they already have. And what's crucial here is recognizing the natural synergy between a social, verified network like Pi and the gaming vertical.
Okay, the natural synergy, let's stay on that for a second. What makes this marriage between Pi's platform and gaming so strong that it justifies this level of investment?
Well, gaming, just by its nature, is a perfect testbed for any digital economy. Think about it. It involves ownership, like assets and characters.
Sure.
It involves transactions, in-game purchases. It has incentives like rewards. And most importantly, it involves repeated habitual interaction.
Which is very different from a static website or a single-use app.
Exactly. And on the other side, you have Pi, which offers this massive, globally distributed, verified human community. It's essentially a captive audience that's ready and willing to transact. This partnership is built on leveraging that synergy. It's a calculated, coordinated effort to tackle the utility challenge head-on by going after the most scalable sector.
I find that word coordination really interesting. It suggests they looked at where utility was already starting to form in gaming, driven by the community,
Right.
and then decided to inject capital and external expertise to just pour gasoline on that fire.
That's a perfect way to put it. Instead of just waiting for organic grassroots development alone, they're stepping in.
It's a very different approach.
It is. I mean, if you connect this to the bigger picture, so many new blockchain ecosystems struggle with that transition, the utility gap, as it's called.
From a speculative asset to something you can actually use.
Precisely. And by focusing on gaming, which inherently involves virtual economies, digital ownership, and all those little repeated transactions, Pi is trying to hardwire utility at scale from the very beginning. They're trying to skip that often slow, painful adoption phase and use PNV's resources to build a huge demand driver immediately.
It's about generating critical mass quickly.
Exactly.
And that shift from a wait-and-see approach to invest and build, that fundamentally changes the risk profile for Pi. It implies a much higher degree of project maturity.
It really does.
Okay, let's move on to the specific tangible benefits this partnership is supposed to deliver. Our sources highlight 3 key outcomes, and they affect the platform, developers, and the pioneers themselves.
Right, and these 3 benefits are all interdependent. They really form the strategic logic behind the whole investment.
The first one is expanded possibilities, so utility expansion.
Yes. The cooperation immediately expands what's actually possible when it comes to using Pi as a currency. This means moving beyond simple P2P wallet transfers, which are foundational, sure, but they don't really make for a compelling use case.
So we're talking about more complex interactive things.
Exactly. Interactive and potentially revenue-generating digital interactions inside these games. Think about microtransactions, buying unique digital items, or participating in tournaments with Pi entry fees, or even cashing out in-game earnings.
Every one of those is a new data point for utility.
Every single time a user interacts in a CiDi game, that's a new intentional transactional data point for utility. And that bolsters the overall perceived value of the currency. And the size of this benefit, it scales directly with how many pioneers actually download and play the games.
Okay, now the second benefit. This one seems aimed at the wider developer community.
Yeah.
It sends a clear, powerful signal that Pi is committed to gaming at scale. Why is that message so important right now, especially in such a competitive Web3 landscape?
Because developers, especially the good ones, building serious, high-quality applications, they face huge barriers.
Technical and economic.
Both. They need to know 2 things. First, that the underlying platform, in this case Pi, is technically capable, stable, and easy to build on. The SDK and tools have to work, flawlessly.
And the second thing.
Second, and maybe even more importantly, they need to know that there is a committed, large, and liquid user base that's ready to engage and, crucially, to transact.
Right, user adoption and liquidity. They're the biggest hurdles for any new chain.
Absolutely. So an investment like this, when you couple it with the existing network size of tens of millions, it acts as incredibly powerful validation. It de-risks the environment for independent developers who might be on the fence about building their own game on the Pi SDK.
It shows them Pi is willing to put its money where its mouth is.
It demonstrates that Pi is ready to deploy significant financial resources and technical partnerships to make this whole vertical viable. It potentially guarantees a higher return on their effort. It tells developers, we believe in this market so strongly, we put our own capital behind it, proving the transaction ecosystem is real.
And that kind of commitment can attract top-tier talent who might otherwise go to more established ecosystems like Ethereum or Solana.
That's the hope. It's a powerful incentive.
So Pi is basically providing a shared infrastructure in a pre-vetted market.
You could say that.
And the third benefit focuses squarely on the user, the pioneer. It creates new opportunities for them to use and interact with Pi on a daily basis. How does this elevate their experience beyond just the daily mobile mining routine?
Well, that daily interaction is maybe the most important long-term metric for any consumer-facing digital economy. Historically, Pi users engage daily by pressing a button to mine.
Which is critical for network growth, but it's not economic utility in itself.
Exactly, it's not. But by embedding Pi as the core currency inside an engaging, fun gaming environment, you turn that simple daily check-in into a transaction-rich, entertaining experience.
So it's a shift from passive participation to active consumption.
That's it perfectly. If pioneers are using Pi for payments, small purchases, incentives, and competitive stuff inside this gaming world, even if it's just casual, accessible HTML5 gaming, that dramatically increases the utility of the coin.
It fosters a habit.
It fosters habit. It shifts the perception of Pi from a future asset, something you just accumulate and wait for, to a present-day digital medium, something you use to engage and have fun with right now. The success of this whole move is directly tied to creating that habitual pioneer engagement. It transforms the network into a vibrant, flowing economy rather than just a static vault.
So the immediate benefits are clear. You get validated, high-volume utility, a strong signal to developers that de-risks the platform, and maybe most importantly, you get that increased pioneer engagement that creates a daily habit.
That's the trifecta.
But we really need to explore why this specific activity gaming is the target.
This is the core of the strategy. We've established it's a coordinated, high-signal move backed by capital. But why is gaming seen as the perfect fit, the catalyst that can truly ignite the Pi network ecosystem?
I mean, it seems like a logical choice, just given the sheer size of the global gaming market, but what makes it structurally unique for a crypto-backed social platform like Pi?
This is where the structural characteristics of gaming line up perfectly with the structural characteristics of the Pi community itself. The sources we have highlight several essential elements of gaming that make it inherently ideal for crypto integration.
Much more so than, say, e-commerce or complex DeFi.
Yeah, far more so.
Okay, let's walk through those structural advantages.
First off, games are inherently social and interactive. Pi Network is, at its core, a social network built on referrals and community. Gaming just taps into that social layer immediately. It turns passive connections into active, shared experiences.
Makes sense.
Second, games typically have virtual economies already built in. There are already systems where scarcity, ownership, value exchange, all of that is natural and accepted by the players. So the concept of an in-game currency becoming a real-world digital currency is seamless for gamers.
That's a good point. Gamers are already used to paying for digital goods and earning digital rewards.
Precisely. Third, gaming is a universal human experience. People play games for fun, for entertainment. That makes adoption organic. It's not driven purely by some financial incentive or a need for a complex financial service. This emotional, enjoyment-driven adoption is just stickier and more accessible globally.
And fourth,
and this is crucial for Pi, these elements ensure gaming is a large enough vertical to thrive on a network that's already vast and global. It has a very low barrier to entry for the end user.
that last point about market size and community fit is absolutely critical. Let's drill down on the specific characteristics of the Pi network that make it such fertile ground for high-volume gaming. What does Pi offer that other new chains might not?
Well, Pi is defined by three major characteristics that are just irresistible to any developer who wants mass adoption, especially a gaming platform like CiDi Games. First, it is vast. Tens of millions of pioneers provide an instant, massive, built-in user base. That eliminates the developer's #1 hurdle, user acquisition.
Okay, vast. What else?
Second, it's cryptocurrency-backed, which provides the digital rails for all the in-game transactions. But perhaps the most strategically valuable asset, and our sources really emphasize this, is that it's characterized as a verified human community that's ready to engage and transact.
The verified human community. Why is that so strategically important in Web3, especially for games?
Because in traditional crypto and a lot of Web3 gaming, you have bot accounts, Sybil attacks, multi-accounting. All of this can completely wreck economic models, deflate the value of assets, and just ruin the integrity of competitive play.
It's a huge problem.
It's a massive problem. If a game's economy relies on fair play and genuine transaction volume, a community that's proven to be made up of real, verified humans is an invaluable asset. Pi's mechanism, with its phone verification and social trust circles, provides that necessary level of human verification at scale.
So for a developer like CiDi,
For CiDi, this means they can launch an economy knowing that the foundation is sound and protected against widespread automated fraud. It makes their in-game currency design far more robust and reliable.
that's a sophisticated competitive advantage. It's not just having a community, but having a verified community. It's a sandbox just waiting for a massive social and economic application.
And it's a sandbox that's already equipped. The ecosystem already has the technical tools to support gaming apps, developers, and businesses at scale. So this allows CiDi Games to focus entirely on game quality, user experience, and sophisticated Pi integration, rather than having to build core blockchain infrastructure or wallet integration from scratch.
We've established that structural fit. Now let's talk about the dynamic relationship this partnership creates. Our sources call it an ecosystem feedback loop. This is the engine that drives sustainable growth. What does that mechanism look like in practice?
This mechanism is what defines true ecosystem health, and it's elegantly self-reinforcing. It starts with the input. The games attract users and get traction from the tens of millions of Pi pioneers.
So that initial asset is the sheer size of the verified human community.
Exactly. That high-volume engagement is the primary incentive.
And that high pioneer engagement leads to the next step.
It does. That high user traction then gives developers, both CiDi and future third-party developers, clear metrics and the incentive to create more sophisticated utility and use cases inside the games. They see the transactional volume, they see the economic opportunity, and it encourages them to invest more resources in development and innovation.
And how does that innovation cycle back to strengthen the platform itself?
The utility created by the developers, new games, new items, new transaction types, that in turn strengthens the entire Pi ecosystem. It's a cyclical process. It gets stronger through more engagement, higher production quality, and continuous innovation.
So more pioneers playing means higher demand for in-game Pi transactions.
Which means a greater incentive for developers to innovate new products.
And more innovation means a stronger, more resilient platform overall, which attracts even more new users.
It's a spiral of increasing value. This loop is essential for building a truly self-sustaining economy that can exist independently of just external speculative interest. That's the goal.
So the PNV investment in CiDi Games is designed to inject a high dose of quality and scale right at the beginning of this loop.
Exactly, to provide the velocity needed to get the flywheel spinning fast. CiDi isn't just an app. It's a critical gear in that utility engine. The whole model is based on the idea that high-quality, fun, accessible gaming will turn passive Pi holders into active Pi spenders.
But let's introduce a critical note here, as a deep dive requires. If the loop is self-reinforcing, what's the initial risk? What happens if that first wave of games, despite the PNV backing and the massive user base, just fails to get the high engagement needed to start the cycle?
That is the structural risk, and that's what PNV is trying to mitigate by investing in a proven entity like CiDi Games. The risk is that pioneers download the app, they find the games are low quality or boring, and they just stop using them.
And then the loop never starts.
The loop never starts, you get stalled traction, a weak signal to other developers, and you fail to generate that necessary transactional utility. So PNV's investment is effectively a wager that CiDi Games' expertise and their commitment to quality will overcome this adoption hurdle and provide that initial gravitational pull. It's an investment in minimizing user churn. If the games are fun, the loop begins. If they're not, all that underlying potential just remains untapped.
That makes sense.
And it's crucial to emphasize that this partnership, as high profile as it is, isn't Pi suddenly pivoting to gaming. It's an extension of an ongoing, multi-year initiative.
Right.
Pi has been consistently supporting the gaming vertical for a while now, proving the technical feasibility before injecting the financial catalyst.
Okay, so what prior initiatives show that the platform was already technically ready for CiDi to just plug and play?
The platform laid some really robust groundwork. Pi supported the gaming vertical through several avenues. They ran hackathons to encourage rapid prototype development and test the Pi SDK.
That's pretty standard.
Right. They also implemented app incubation programs to nurture more promising, longer-term projects. They provided pre-built technical tools to make development easier. And, crucially, they offered a built-in monetization path through the Pi ad network.
Let's focus on those technical supports. What exactly is the Pi ad network, and why is that so important for Web3 games?
The Pi ad network is essential because it gives developers a clear, non-crypto-reliant way to make money. A lot of Web3 projects struggle because their only revenue comes from speculative asset prices or complex tokenomics.
Which can be very volatile.
Extremely. The Pi ad network lets developers earn revenue in traditional, digital advertising dollars by showing targeted ads to the huge pioneer community. This hybrid monetization model, transactions via PiCoin plus revenue via the ad network, makes the business model much more sustainable.
And more attractive to professional developers like CiDi.
Of course, because it doesn't require pioneers to spend Pi for the game to be profitable. It lowers the barrier to entry and encourages free-to-play models, which are absolutely critical for mass adoption.
That dual monetization strategy dramatically de-risks the whole vertical. It ensures developers don't starve while they're waiting for transaction volume to ramp up.
Can we point to a specific, tangible example of a game that used these tools before the CiDi announcement?
We can. The sources specifically mention a game called Fruity Pie.
Fruity Pie. Yeah, this game was released by Pi itself, and it basically served as a proof of concept. It already integrated Pi payments, it used the Pi ad network for monetization, and it connected seamlessly to the Pi wallet.
So it was a test run.
It was a tangible demonstration of how all the existing Pi features and tools can support applications in a sustainable way. It proves the platform is technically ready for gaming. The CiDi partnership just brings in specialized, large-scale expertise and capital to execute that vision on a global scale using that validated technical foundation.
So Pi has laid the groundwork. They've got the tools, the monetization path, and this massive verified community. Now, they're using strategic investment and partnership capital and expertise to bring in external professionals to push the whole thing to the next level.
And to make sure that the utility feedback loop achieves the necessary velocity. That's the key.
Okay, let's talk more about this strategic investment vehicle, Pi Network Ventures, or PNV. It's clearly more than just a pool of money. It feels like a strategic weapon. What's its precise role in this CiDi Games investment?
What's fascinating here is how the investment strengthens the partnership and also aligns with PMV's dual mission, achieving both scale and sustainability in Web3 development.
Scale and sustainability.
Yes, and according to the source material, CiDi Games was chosen precisely because they have the proven experience and a vision to set new standards. They want to be the first Web3 gaming platform to achieve both scale and sustainability.
So PNV is basically investing in their ability to execute that vision.
Exactly. It's providing the financial runway to execute a long-term strategy, not just chase short-term gains.
So how does PNV ensure that the investment isn't just a grant, but a mechanism that brings external value to the entire Pi ecosystem?
It's all about leveraging external expertise and specialized industry knowledge. The investment allows Pi Network to partner with experienced developers who are specialists in other industries, in this case, the highly competitive, quality-driven gaming industry.
And these developers contribute two types of assets.
That's right. First, they contribute individual application utilities, the games themselves. But much more importantly, they contribute platform-level extensions.
Okay, let's clarify what platform-level extensions means in this context.
It means that developers like CiDi aren't just building isolated games that happen to run on Pi. They are building tools, APIs, and shared infrastructure that actually expand the core capabilities of the Pi platform for all future developers.
So, for example,
CiDi might develop advanced metrics tracking for in-game purchases using Pi, or maybe a streamlined system for asset minting that other game developers can then just easily adopt. This ensures the PNV investment yields benefits far beyond a single title. It accelerates the entire gaming vertical.
So PNV is essentially buying infrastructure development and industry know-how, not just games.
That's it, exactly. It's a highly leveraged strategic move. PNV reduces the risk for CiDi, and in return, CiDi extends the utility and technical framework for the entire Pi network. It's just smart capital deployment designed to solve shared network challenges.
This one investment, then, is a perfect illustration of Pi's multi-pronged approach to growing their ecosystem. They aren't putting all their eggs in one basket.
No, they're tackling development from several angles at once. We can detail that comprehensive strategy pretty clearly. It's a layered approach. At the bottom, you have grassroots development.
Supported by things like the Pi App Studio.
Right, encouraging anyone in the community to build and experiment with the SDK. That's crucial for innovation and diversity.
So that covers the long tail of creativity. Where does the PNV strategy sit in relation to that?
The PNV strategy represents the high-end, high-signal, capital-intensive approach. These are the high-profile investments, like CiDi Games. They're designed to provide flagship applications that can immediately handle the scale of the Pioneer community and set a professional benchmark for quality.
And what bridges the gap between those two extremes, the hobbyist developer and the professional, capital-backed partner?
In between, you see structured development cycles. These range from those rapid, high-energy hackathons for quick idea generation to more formal incubation programs for projects that need more sustained development.
And all of this is underpinned by?
All of it is underpinned by technical support, like the Pi SDK, and by ready-made business models, like the Pi Ad Network, which gives them a straightforward path to making money.
That's a really comprehensive framework. They're providing the raw materials, the financial incentives, the external expertise, and the end-user community all at once.
Yeah.
What's the synthesis insight when you look at all these moving parts working together?
The synthesis is that the focus is explicitly not just on individual products. The core objective is the synergy, the combined benefits that arise when all the different parts of the ecosystem, pioneer engagement, platform growth, developer incentives, when they all move forward together.
It's an orchestrated approach.
It is. It's designed to accelerate Pi's long-term vision for a resource-driven and accessible ecosystem. It's about building a flywheel where grassroots innovation can find a path to incubation. And these flagship investments validate the whole journey, which in turn inspires more grassroots efforts.
And P&V's role is to make sure they are collaborating with experienced founders whose work strengthens and expands the benefits for the entire network.
And ensure that long-term systemic stability.
Right. Now, it's probably important to contextualize P&V's activity beyond just CiDi Games. This isn't a one-off thing, right?
No, it's vital to see this isn't an anomaly. The investment in CiDi Games demonstrates a broader, active strategy of deploying capital into high-signal projects across different tech verticals.
And we know from the source material that P&V's mandate isn't just about Web3 gaming. They have a much wider view of future growth.
Absolutely. The sources mention other related announcements that show P&V is active across really strategic tech verticals. They first announced a significant investment in a company called OpenMind. And this was followed by a later, even more telling announcement about a substantial $20 million investment in OpenMind's vision for humanoid robots.
Whoa. Now that's a massive leap. Why would an organization focused on mass crypto utility through mobile mining also be investing $20 million into humanoid robotics? What does that bridge tell us about Pi's ultimate long-term vision?
Well, this jump from Web3 gaming, which is near-term immediate utility, to humanoid robotics, which is very far-term exponential growth, it shows that P&V isn't just funding utility for Pi transactions today. They are also investing in futuristic disruptive sectors where the Pi platform, especially its massive verified human community layer, could play a role down the line.
So CiDi Games is solving the problem of utility now, proving Pi can handle mass market transactions. And OpenMind is about positioning Pi to handle potentially disruptive AI-driven digital and physical economies tomorrow.
Precisely. It confirms that the venture arm has a wide, two-tiered mandate. Tier 1 is about establishing core transactional utility in accessible verticals like gaming. Tier 2 is about securing a foothold in deep tech, future-oriented fields like AI and robotics,
To ensure Pi Network remains relevant.
and potentially central to the next generation of digital infrastructure. It absolutely reinforces that P&V is focused on scaling real-world use cases, both near-term and far-term, to secure Pi's position as a foundational resource for the future of connected technology.
That perspective it's a profound realization of their strategy. They're not just building a coin, they're investing in the infrastructure of future digital and physical interaction with the Pi Network as the social and verification backbone.
It's a big vision.
Okay, let's turn to the specifics of what CiDi Games is actually contracted to deliver. Their expertise in innovative games plus Pi's global community forms this incredibly strong foundation. But their focus is twofold, right?
It's twofold.
What are the two major components CiDi is focused on building?
Well, CiDi Games is, naturally, building a library of high-quality games for the Pi ecosystem. But the structurally important deliverable, the bigger piece, is the development of the H5 gaming platform.
The H5 platform, this is the crucial infrastructure piece. What exactly defines H5 gaming, and why is that technology choice so aligned with Pi's mission of mass accessibility?
H5 stands for HTML5, and the platform is defined as a lightweight HTML5 game hub, designed specifically for engaging and casual gaming.
So the games run directly in a browser.
Directly in a standard web browser or an integrated app viewer. Users don't need powerful, expensive devices or these complex, large installations that eat up precious storage and bandwidth.
This speaks directly to Pi's global user base. I mean, many of them are in emerging markets accessing the internet on mid-range smartphones.
Exactly. Accessibility means maximizing the potential for mass market appeal. By using H5, they minimize friction and they maximize the size of their addressable market. This aligns perfectly with Pi's mission of global, inclusive accessibility. It maximizes the potential for that utility feedback loop we talked about earlier.
A pioneer, anywhere in the world, regardless of their device, can just jump in and start transacting with Pi.
That's the idea.
But accessibility often comes at a cost, right? Usually graphical fidelity or complexity, let's address that. Is relying on H5 technology a potential risk? Could the quality limitations of HTML5 deter more sophisticated gamers and maybe damage the high-quality signal P&V is trying to send?
That's a critical question, and while H5 games won't deliver the console-quality graphics of a AAA title, the choice reflects a strategic prioritization of reach over spectacle.
Okay, reach over spectacle.
For utility-driven transactional ecosystems, reaching 50 million users with a simple, engaging, transaction-rich game is far more valuable than reaching 50,000 users with some hyper-realistic, high-graphics game. CiDi Games' expertise will be focused on maximizing engagement through intuitive social mechanics and compelling game loops within the constraints of H5, not on pushing graphical boundaries. It's a calculated trade-off that favors transactional volume and global scale.
That makes a lot of sense.
Now, let's get to the economic heart of the collaboration. This is the detail that is most critical for pioneers and for external observers of Pi's utility model. Pi will be directly integrated into CiDi Games.
And the status of Pi within this environment is defined as what?
Pi will become the primary medium for payments, transactions, and incentives across the entire CiDi Games platform.
That phrase, primary medium, doesn't sound like a casual choice of words.
It's not. It's a powerful commitment that fundamentally defines the economic relationship. It means Pi isn't just an optional payment method alongside credit cards or other tokens. It is positioned as the foundational digital currency for their whole gaming environment.
Which guarantees the direct utility that the entire PNV strategy hinges on. What are the economic consequences of this primary medium status?
The consequences are profound. If Pi is the primary medium, then every in-game purchase, every reward, every competition entry, and every incentive mechanism, it all revolves around the Pi coin. This creates guaranteed demand velocity for Pi within this vertical.
It moves Pi from a currency that can be used to a currency that is required to be used.
Required for full functionality, at least within this major ecosystem. This represents a massive leap forward for utility expansion because it immediately ties the value proposition of CiDi Games, the fun, the entertainment, directly to the transactional function of the Pi coin.
It's essentially creating a closed, high-volume transactional loop designed to generate real, demonstrable economic activity on the Pi blockchain. And that volume is what other developers and future partners will be looking at.
Precisely. And this strategy ensures that the value created by the entertainment utility stays internal to the Pi ecosystem. It strengthens the internal economy rather than leaking out to fiat rails or competing tokens.
But CiDi Games, as we said, isn't just building isolated games. They're building infrastructure. They're tasked with developing an open framework. Tell us more about the mechanics of that framework.
Right. CiDi Games is developing an open framework that explicitly extends the Pi platform, turning their internal development into a shared public resource. This framework provides additional tools, standardized APIs, and infrastructure specifically tailored to streamline integration for other third-party game developers.
So this takes that strong developer signal we talked about and backs it up with tangible professional technical resources.
Exactly. The goal of this open framework is to make it easier, faster, and more unified for other games to integrate with Pi. If another developer wants to build a game on Pi, they don't have to reinvent the wheel on Pi wallet integration or leaderboard mechanics. They can just plug into CiDi's framework.
That helps build a more unified and robust gaming environment across the entire network.
And it reduces development costs and increases efficiency for everyone. This ensures the PNV investment doesn't just benefit one company, CiDi, but it serves as a catalyst for exponential growth across the entire gaming vertical on Pi by providing this shared, optimized infrastructure. CiDi is basically acting as an anchor institution, providing industry best practice tools to the community.
This all sounds like a massive undertaking, integrating sophisticated tech with a huge social network. Do we have a timeline for when pioneers can expect to see this platform in action?
We do. The initial version of the CiDi Games product is scheduled for testing in Q1 2026.
Q1 2026.
And that date is significant because it provides a tangible short to mid-term milestone by which the success of this whole PNV strategy can be assessed.
That's a concrete deadline.
Yeah.
What are the development priorities leading up to that testing phase?
The sources point to a focus on three critical areas. First is performance optimization. Given the H5 tech and the massive scale of the Pi user base, they have to make sure the games run smoothly and reliably on all kinds of mobile hardware globally.
And second?
Second is the implementation of user feedback. This reflects a more agile approach to development, prioritizing user experience. Third, and maybe the most technically complex, is crucial ecosystem alignment. They have to ensure that the games and the framework work seamlessly with all the existing Pi features, the wallet, the ad network, the SDK, and the verified community structure before they can do a wider launch.
So this Q1 2026 date marks the first major deliverable from a high-profile PNV-backed project. It's a key validation point for their whole strategic approach to Web3 gaming.
It is. A successful launch and a high adoption rate will be a necessary proof of concept for the entire platform's utility thesis.
Before we move to our final takeaways, let's quickly recontextualize the platform itself. I know a lot of our listeners follow this closely, but a brief sophisticated review of Pi Network's core identity really helps solidify why this partnership matters so much.
Absolutely. Pi Network is a blockchain-based crypto project launched back in 2019. It came from doctoral students at Stanford University, which gives it this distinct academic and intellectual pedigree.
And it's focused on accessibility and community.
Right. The mission is centered on promoting the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies by making access incredibly easy and, crucially, building a community structure that inherently solves a lot of the problems you see with anonymous chains.
And that brings us to the unique structure that CiDi Games is leveraging, that verified human community structure.
Precisely. While the mining process itself is simple, you use your smartphone without massive energy consumption, the structural outcome is this vast network that's underpinned by a human verification layer.
Achieved through social circles and phone validation.
Exactly. And that structure is Pi's greatest asset in the Web3 world, especially for applications like gaming, where transactional integrity and preventing bots are just paramount. This verifiable human community is the foundation for trusting the transactional volume that CiDi Games is going to generate.
So if the core mechanism is easy mobile access, and the greatest asset is a verified human community, the overall strategic goal of utility initiatives like the CiDi Games partnership becomes incredibly clear.
It really does. The whole objective of all these utility initiatives, from the grassroots stuff to PNV's high-profile investments, is to increase the intrinsic value of Pi coins. And this is achieved not through speculation, but by enabling users to create and use real web applications on the platform. It's about establishing a true use case. The coin's utility drives its value proposition.
The CiDi Games partnership, therefore, is the most high-profile validation yet of that exact utility goal.
It is the validation piece at scale. It unlocks gaming as a powerful habitual engine for ecosystem growth and utility expansion. It moves Pi from a concept of easy accumulation to a reality of daily digital transactions. This is where the long-term vision of the Stanford founders meets the operational execution of PNV.
Ensuring that when the mainnet coolly transitions, there's already robust, high-volume utility ready to convert holders into active spenders.
It's about fulfilling the promise of utility before asking the market for valuation.
Okay, we've established that this collaboration is multi-layered. It covers technology, strategic capital, community activation. From the multifaceted strategy of PNV, stretching from gaming to robotics, to the specifics of CiDi's H5 gaming platform and that crucial Q1 2026 testing date, it all points to a significant pivot toward operational maturity.
I think the single most important conclusion for you, for the listener, to take away is that the CiDi Games partnership is a critical piece of Pi's maturation strategy. They are moving beyond relying solely on grassroots developer activity.
They're going bigger.
They are executing high-signal, capital-intensive investments that immediately integrate Pi as a primary transaction medium within a major vertical. This move significantly de-risks the utility profile of the network by guaranteeing high-volume consumption.
It signals a true commitment to institutional-level ecosystem building, guaranteeing Web3 gaming at scale through accessible technology. This isn't just a gaming deal. It's a powerful statement that Pi is actively and strategically building the demand side for its currency using professional partnerships.
And this approach emphasizes long-term utility, resource-driven accessibility, and the unique asset of that verified human community. It's a foundational effort designed to make Pi necessary, not just optional, for a rapidly growing segment of its user base.
And by building out that open framework, they are simultaneously accelerating development for everyone else.
Exactly.
So we've discussed Pi becoming the primary medium for payments in this new gaming environment, which puts enormous weight on its success. This is a very high-stakes, very public proof of concept.
It is.
If that Q1 2026 test phase proves successful in generating sustained, high-volume transactional utility, it will create a powerful precedent.
And that raises an important question for you, the listener, to consider. We often see Web3 projects succeed based on speculation, but Pi is wagering on utility. If this model works, if Pi can successfully launch a major, professional, high-volume transactional vertical that compels millions to use its currency daily, how might the success or failure of this Q1 2026 test phase influence other Web3 projects?
Especially those with massive community.
Especially those, yes. How will it influence them as they look to integrate digital currencies into mass-market entertainment platforms? The Pi network is essentially running an unprecedented experiment on decentralized currency integration at scale, and you can be sure its results will be watched closely by the entire industry.